I want to begin with the letter of St. Paul to the Romans. I was struck by Paul, his introduction, how he introduces himself to Rome. He says, Paul, a slave of Christ, a slave. Might be certain connotations we think of when we think of that word. But as he ends this certain passage that we read, he says that he belongs to Christ. He's a slave of Christ, but yet he belongs to Christ. It made me think of some of the transitions we have in our own journey of Christian living, maybe from being a slave to being a son or being a daughter to really belonging. I think of the experience of if we're just a slave to Christ, there might be resentment that might bubble up within us, or we might view our religion as something that's just a matter of fulfilling certain obligations, checking the right boxes, doing the right thing. I was just raised Catholic. I'm just in this. This is just what I do. Whereas the notion of belonging is much deeper. It's actually about a relationship. There's a depth, maybe a notion of community involved, that I'm along this journey with others. I'm not alone. I've actually met God. I've had an encounter with him, with his person. I was thinking of this because in this week, I went and chatted with the seventh graders. There's a great young gentleman, Graham. He asked a great question. He said, Father Sam, have you always been involved in your faith, or was there a moment when you started taking it more seriously? And I thought this is a beautiful question. And it made me reflect on, I said, well, first, I'm really been gifted to have been raised in a Catholic home with wonderful parents. And we were taught the faith, we lived the faith. But there was a lot when I was probably in 7th grade, 8th grade, and I was sharing this with him as I was remembering. There was a lot that I had questions on, that I really went through this time of like, how do I believe that God is good, that God is real, or that the Bible is actually his word, that it can be trusted? How do I know it's all these books and not these other ones and all these things? And I really went through a time of a lot of questions and a lot of angst, a lot of anxiety in me. And what I just shared with him was I was so grateful that I have a big family, 2 brothers and 3 sisters, so you rarely get time alone with a parent. But one time, my mom was going shopping up in the cities, and I decided to go with her. And I hate shopping, but I can be with mom alone. And I remember just being able to voice some of these worries, some of these things I had. And I don't even know how she answered or how she responded, but it just felt better to be known that I had spoken them out, and how she could actually just walk with me, encourage me. So this is what I encourage this young man, that like, it's okay to have questions, it's okay to ask, but this is how we're actually surrounded by people who can walk with us in the faith. We're not actually alone on this journey. But what I shared with him is that at a certain point, I did have to decide to take my life, my faith life, more seriously, actually for me. Like, I was raised Catholic. This is the things we did. We knew the prayers. We went to Mass. But I remember particularly there was a summer retreat that I didn't want to go on, but my parents made me go. And that was the first time when I personally had a profound encounter with the living God. And I actually made a choice that I really wanted my faith for myself. Not just the faith of my parents, but actually like, no, this is for me. I want this. I'm going to invest in this. So it was just one moment, and I had to keep investing in that decision throughout my whole life. So it's not a one and done, but it is something that's important for us, especially for us who have maybe been raised in the faith. Have we taken a time to actually really invest, to say, I really need this? Not just because it's what I do, I'm culturally Catholic, but like, I need a living relationship with God. I don't just want to be a slave of Christ where at times it's like, what does the church tell me to do? I'm just trying to fill an obligation. No, I actually want to belong. I want to take the corner to a depth, a more intentional way of living in right relation with God. I thought of this in lieu of our gospel. We might call it Joseph's testing his trial. That perhaps this gospel was one of those corners that Joseph had to take. He's there, he's betrothed to Mary, he's going to be married. Then all of a sudden, he experiences the news that she's with child. And he thinks, that wasn't in my plans. That's not what I expected. What do I do now? Maybe he had plans to go with Mary and to go to be in Nazareth, to begin his carpentry work right away. This is what it's going to mean. This is how we're going to live. Then all of a sudden, this unexpected event happens. This wasn't part of my plan. It says that Joseph he was a righteous man, so he was already living the faith, involved, but perhaps it hadn't costed him anything yet. He hadn't extended deeply in a gift of faith to take the next step. And he hears the angel saying, do not be afraid, for this is of God. God is working here. But what strikes me is just how in the things that are unexpected in our life, the trials, the sufferings, if we let it, it can actually lead us to a deeper place of depth in our relationship with God. If we don't, it could lead us to a place of resentment, a place of hurt. Say, another thing you're throwing at me, Lord, I can't believe this just keeps happening. So-and-so, they always get sick. I can't believe it. Are you even listening to my prayer? But Joseph makes an act of faith to say, I'm going to take Mary into my home. I'm going to be in for this. The deeper part of his heart has to say, Lord, this wasn't a part of my plan, but I invite you into it. If you are Emmanuel, which is what the angel reveals God with us, then I actually invite you there, Lord. Be with me there in that unexpectedness. And for all of us in our hearts, in our lives, we have those things that are unexpected, those things that will come that we can't control. But perhaps it's an opportunity to actually relate a different place of our heart to the Lord. An easy prayer for me is, Lord, I'm suffering. I want you to take it away. But a deeper prayer would be, Lord, I'm suffering, and I want you to be with me in it. You're Emmanuel, God with us. I invite you in. Be with me in it. Be with me in my suffering. I don't see it all, but I need you. I invite you in. Even just think about Joseph. A few months later, Jesus is born, this beautiful child. He's so grateful that he said yes to the Lord. Then all of a sudden, in another dream, the angel says, Joseph, flee in haste, because King Herod is seeking the life of the child. So he has to go again to say, I don't know what I'm doing. All of a sudden, I'm in Egypt with this newborn child, with my wife. This wasn't in the plan. Lord, I invite you in. Just come, be with me here. I don't know what I'm doing. Just be with me. You are Emmanuel. Come, be with me there. A slave of Christ, or do we really belong to him? And these moments, these corners in our lives, they can happen, or perhaps they're yet to happen, or we're long down the road of really inviting the Lord in a personal way to walk with us in our suffering. There's no shame or guilt wherever we are in that journey, but so convicted of the good news of this Advent season on the cusp of Christmas that God really comes to dwell with us. He is there. He is here, Emmanuel. So in those unexpected things of our lives, the unexpected sufferings, the curveballs, I didn't see this coming. This wasn't in the plan. How do I not pray it away and relate to God as a vending machine? I put in my prayers, I expect this to happen. And if it doesn't happen, I'm hurt, I'm resentful. But there, can I actually say, Lord, I need you to be with me in it. It seems like the suffering is not going away. So I need to actually relate a deeper place of my heart that I am maybe angry at him or I am discouraged. But how do I let him be with me there? That's the place where we experience his kingship, his lordship, and that he is Emmanuel.